Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, or good evening, depending on where you're from. Um, I'm Kevin Alteman. I'm the co-founder of Lugus Studios. Next to me is my colleague Tom Lissens. You can't see him in school. Well, you could see him wave right now. He's not hiding behind the scenes. He's helping me out behind the scenes. Today we are very excited to talk to you about our latest game, Liftoff Drone Racing, the latest game for the Liftoff franchise. It's a franchise with a bit of a history that I'm happy to talk about during the stream. But yeah, very excited to talk to you about this. It's been in the works for a very long time, and it's not just talking. I hope to be able to show a bit as well today. Before we start, I have three pointers I want to list. First one, feel free to ask questions at any time. I know a stream like this, it's not the same as a conversation at an event like Gamescom. It's more of a monologue. I do hope we can start a bit of a dialogue, so feel free to ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer your questions here live on the stream. I do want to say there's a bit of a delay. I think it's a 30-second delay, so if I don't respond instantly, that might explain that. Another thing I want to, and maybe I do wonder, for those who are in the chat, it would be fun if you could, I'm just curious, please let me know where you're from and what interests you for the stream, so I can take that into account for whatever we explain today. So the second point I want to make is that, of course, I would have loved to shake your hand and talk face to face and give you the game controller so you can play it yourself. But as a result of things happening in the world, and I'm sure I don't have to go into details on that, today we have to do it online, and we have to use pre-recorded footage. Of course, pre-recorded, I can promise you none of it has been edited. It's hardly been selected even. So everything that you see is representative of what you'll get in the final product, or at least what you will see in the game if you buy it, with one small change, or at least one thing. Often when a game is demoed before it is released, what you often get is that the demo looked a bit better than what you eventually get because of reasons. I think in our case it will be the opposite. So a lot of the recordings that we're showing today were done in a test version. Some of our graphics effects were turned off, so I can promise you that it will look even better in the final version. Still, it should be a good representation of what the game is like. Then last pointer, again, I talk a lot about that human interaction. I miss that a lot, especially during Gamescom. It's what you often see when with games is that you have the game, then you have the gamers, and there's a bit of a disconnect. And it's always great to meet at an event because then you see the people behind it. And since we can't do that in real life, I wanted to start with a little clip of the studio. So a quick introduction. We're Lugus Studios, a small company in Belgium. There's around 8 people who have been working the last 5 years non-stop on Liftoff related products, and you might see that in the clip as well. You'll see a lot of hints at little drones, etc. So we're very much invested in that whole thing. Another disclaimer about this: all of this footage was recorded before the whole Corona thing, so it's been an empty studio for a while. In fact, I'm happy that today I'm here with Tom, but I wish the rest of the team was here as well. So yeah, that's the team, full development. This is, by the way, Tom, who's sitting next to me. As dedicated as anyone, is so dedicated he even has a company logo tattooed. So let's see, do we have questions in chat? Hey, Mr. King. Hello. Again, for those who just joined, today we're going to show Liftoff Drone Racing, a game that's coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One later this year. If you have questions, feel free to ask them in chat and we're more than happy to answer them live. Anyway, so you joined a stream called Liftoff Drone Racing. I've been talking about myself, about the team, about the studio, so let's talk about drone racing, right? So let's first introduce a race drone, in fact. So this is our little friend. It's a Vortex 285. Within the industry, this is considered an old-timer. It's 5 years old, and that's about as old as the sport is. But yeah, these machines are designed to fly 150 kilometers an hour, sometimes even faster. 4 motors, 4 propellers, that's why they often call them quadcopters as well. And the cool thing is there's a little camera in front, an FPV camera, and that's where the pilot can actually, and let me show this as well. So a pilot actually wears these goggles. They look a bit like VR goggles, but they are not really, they don't give you a VR experience. They are what they call FPV goggles, first person view goggles. And it allows the pilot to see exactly what the drone sees. And the cool thing is that this is this wish and this fantasy of flying that became a reality. And it's become a big thing since 2015, and we jumped on it instantly. So there's been Liftoff simulators available since 2015, but I'm more than happy to go into a bit more detail later on. But let's show you what that looks like in game, in fact. So what does drone racing look like in Liftoff? Yeah, awesome. So this is footage from captured by a pilot who has a bit of experience already. He's flying in our level called the Liftoff Arena. It's one of many levels that are available in the game. All levels have a day and night version, by the way. And yeah, so what he's doing is quite impressive. It takes a bit of time to get into that, but drone racing definitely has a bit of a learning curve, and that's why we wanted to make a simulator. You want to practice racing these cool drones, and this is another one, by the way, a small one. You want to learn how to race this in a safe environment where crashing is just fixed by pressing the R button. But so that was racing. Maybe we can show a bit of freestyle as well. Yeah. Another show of video, in fact. Again, a very advanced pilot. This is not on a racetrack. This is someone showing off his freestyle skills. And this is, yeah, each time I see this, I get goosebumps. This is crazy. I've tried this 100 times. I fail every time, and I know that once Liftoff Drone Racing is released on console, we'll get hundreds of videos of people doing that. And yeah, another freestyle session. This is in another level called Hanover. It's for the Germans who are watching the Scream at German City, of course. This is the Hanover Messe, a famous fairgrounds. So yeah, those are the first looks. So let's talk a bit about the history, because I do feel I need to introduce a bit of tell you a bit about the background for this all to make sense. So again, as I said, we've jumped on the opportunity of making drone racing simulators since 2015, when the hobby started becoming a big thing. We've been available on Steam for PC, Mac and Linux. It's been a huge success for us. We have a very active community. It's growing every year. Part of that is also because we keep supporting it, and that's something we hope to do for this project as well. In fact, on Monday even, we will likely release the biggest update we've released in 5 years, just to show, like, okay, we're doing this version on console as well, but our PC version still gets a lot of love as well. And one thing that we're very proud of is that most people who are interested in drone racing, they know about Liftoff. They have it. They use it not just as a fun entertainment tool in between real-life flying sessions, but also as a training tool. So our promise is that if you can fly in Liftoff, you can fly in real life and vice versa. So it's very much a simulator. That does hint a bit at a steep learning curve. And it also means that it's up until this point, it hasn't been the most casual experience. And that's why we wanted to open up this experience, bring it to gaming consoles, and make it an experience specifically designed not just for pilots, but also for gamers. And for maybe the Liftoff fans who are watching, and please let us know if you're one of those Liftoff fans in chat. I mean, this looks, for the average people, this looks like a typical main menu. The Liftoff fans, they might instantly say, okay, this looks a bit different. This has a new look and feel, and that is a reflection of what Liftoff drone racing on consoles is all about. It's not a straight port of the PC version. And although some of those features and content might be recognizable, we very much looked at every aspect of it and made sure that we make it the most fun experience on a console, starting from the menu, a new soundtrack, to a lot of features. So as you can see in the menu, we have single player. There's a dedicated, well, a more advanced tutorial unique to the console version. There's a career mode exclusive to the console version. There's your typical free flight sessions. In multiplayer, we have, well, you can fly against your friends, and easy connect on your console, but there's also tutorials. Tools is something that we will talk about more in the stream tomorrow, so feel free to join then as well. I will show a few different things, but in tools you can completely, well, we have what we call the workbench, where you can completely customize your drone. And we have a replay feature, also new to this console version, where you can rewatch your sessions. And of course the typical options, I mean your typical game options, although you can also completely change your flight mode, your camera settings, like everything you would expect. So I mentioned we have a big focus on single player, so let's show some of the tutorial, in fact. Yeah. So the tutorial is a complete new thing for the console version compared to what's available on PC. And you saw in the left corner, Josh that's Joshua Bartwell again. For people, for racing pilots, they instantly know who this person is. We're also flying in his backyard, or showing this level is his home. And he will introduce you to some of the things that I explained before, like you have different drones, you have your input devices. He explains as well again that customizability of your drone, because Liftoff allows you to completely change the setup of your drone setup, and it's all simulated, meaning that every change you make, from a propeller to a motor, will completely change the way it flies, and none of that is scripted. So winning or racing and performing great in Liftoff, it's not just about your personal flying skills, but also about the tactical choices you make in that workbench. You might have drone setups that fly better in a racetrack where long distances are a fact, and then you might have some that work better on a track with sharp corners, for example. Anyway, what we teach you in the tutorial is how to fly in just a few minutes, and we have two different examples, or two different flight modes. Again, that's unique to the console version. We have what we call the assisted flight mode, and this is actually an example of someone who uses that assisted flight mode. It looks still a bit clumsy, but this is the first flight experience, and this is completely magical for us to see, by the way, because for the first 5 years, when someone wanted to play a Liftoff, they needed a few days to get into that and to get that flow going before they were brave enough, or before they could actually consider racing on a racetrack. But here on console, you can pick up the controller and instantly have fun, instantly participate, either fly against bots in our single player modes or fly against other players in multiplayer. And in the beginning, I mean, it won't be perfect. I mean, you will evolve, but just to say, and just to explain a bit of why this is possible. First of all, we have what we call altitude control. So the game takes care of some of the height, so you can focus on the steering, on your speed, on what the track is like. And then another aspect is, well, pilots, they are used to flying with these types of complicated machines, and everything is done with their sticks. Well, we looked at how gamers, and we're console gamers as well, like we looked at, okay, if you give a gamer controller in his hand, what is the most intuitive way, or what will they click if we ask them, okay, what would you do if you want to fly? And so we noticed the triggers are used more, and so basically we mapped what feels intuitive to gamers to our flight mechanics, and that seems to really work out. So this was the gamer, well, our pilot in one of his first flights. Maybe we can show him. So this is footage. I think this was the same player a few weeks later after playing Liftoff, and it's, well, you can instantly see the skill increase. It's first-person view, so not third-person. There's no altitude control. He's flying what we call the authentic flight mode, and this flies exactly like a real drone, and that's our promise. If you can fly like this, you can fly a real drone. It's quite impressive, in fact, what he's doing here, although still crashing a bit. Crashing is another thing. Like I think he has turned on what we call God mode, and that allows you to bump against things and continue to fly. We also have complete damage simulation, battery simulation, but all of that is optional. Just like these different flight modes, the altitude control, you can always turn it on and off on the fly, because at the core of all of this experience is always a deep and complex simulation system at work. That should make your drone fly exactly like the real thing. So yeah, let's see, are there any questions in chat? No? Again, there's a bit of a delay. No. Okay, so before I continue, for those who just joined and are not sure what they're seeing here on the screen, again, I'm Kevin Alteman, I'm from Lugu Studios. My colleague Tom is helping me here in the background with some of this footage. We're showing Liftoff drone racing for consoles. It's coming later this year to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And the goal of this game is to let you experience the excitement and the adrenaline rush of drone racing in the comfort of your sofa on your screen. It's a promise that we've been able to realize on PC for a few years, but now we're finally bringing this to console and opening up that hobby, and hopefully we can grow the actual drone racing hobby as well. I would love to see people who pick up Liftoff, buy their first drone later, and get involved with the real sport. That would be fantastic. So okay, this was a bit of the tutorial. Maybe we can talk about the career modes and other exclusive feature for the console version. Yeah. Okay, so that was an introduction of the career mode. We're going to show some gameplay of that and talk a bit more about that, but we did get a question. The question from Taurus, thank you for that, by the way. Which realistic brands will be available in the game? That's fantastic question. So everything you see, all the drones, well, all the frames and all the parts you see represent real brands. We have 15 licensed brands. Some of the famous ones are the ones that I've actually shown on screen, which are Vortex drones from Emergent RC. We also have frames from Rotorite. I guess everyone who loves drone racing knows about the Rotorite community, which is a fantastic community. There's Armaton, there's X-Hover, like all the big brands are represented. And it's not just the frames. For example, with the motors, we have the famous Hype Train motors as well. Those are also part of the Rotorite brand, of course. So yeah, and there's a lot more to discover on that front. So those are some of the major brands, and I probably forgot a few. Korea, for example. That we have the Talon for that. So yeah, I mean, lots of cool brands, and we definitely listen to our community about what they use in real life, and we've worked together with those brands to make sure that we represent their frames and their products in the best way possible, not just visually, because I mean on those frames we look at every little detail, like the way everything is put together. I think on some frames you can even see some fingerprints like you would see in real life. I mean, our artists have been geeking out on those details. So it's not just the visuals, it's also the functionality. We make sure that these drones, they behave exactly like they would in real life. And what we do on that front is we look at the thrust value. So the thrust is the combination of your battery, your motor, your propeller, but then there's also the aerodynamics, the flow that happens around your drone in flight. The weight is being calculated, and so we make sure that all of that is very authentic, really important to us. So just like in a typical car sim racing game, like you can geek out about every little detail of a car, you can do the same about our drones in Liftoff. So yeah, awesome questions. If there's more questions, feel free to ask in the chat. There's a bit of a delay, but if we see it, we're more than happy to answer your questions live on the stream. And again, maybe for those who just joined, quick introduction. I'm Kevin Alteman. Today I am excited to talk to you and to show you Liftoff Drone Racing, a project that we've been working on for a while. Liftoff Drone Racing is all about getting that excitement of drone racing to your screen and letting you experience that adrenaline rush without risking destroying some really cool drone hardware, because trust me, if you fly in real life, you will destroy frames. But in Liftoff, you can simply push the reset button or the rewind button, so you can rewind time a bit if you want. There's even what we call a turtle mode that allows you to flip your drone. But I mean, those are details. But so we're excited to show that today. This is coming to consoles, so PlayStation 4 and Xbox One later this year still. So we got another response from LLLL, special nickname. Can't wait for this new game to be out. Thank you, I appreciate that. We can't wait either. I mean, this is very much a labor of love, and our team, and that's why I wanted to show the team in the beginning of the stream and give you, I mean, the faces behind this game. We love this, and we get a lot of love back from our community, and being able to bring that to a bigger audience on console, I mean, that excites us so much, and so we're excited about this as well, so thank you for that. So where were we? Okay, so we did show a bit of a short clip that highlighted what the career mode is. So let's show that a bit, and then. Sorry, can you hear us again? Yeah, I think there was a bit of a technical issue. I mean, that happens on a stream. I'm really sorry about that. So let's see if we can resolve that, because it would be fantastic to show you the game, but also that we can explain what you're looking at. I'm looking at Tom next to me. He's a bit in a stress mode right now. Tom, don't stress. It's only the whole world that's probably watching. Music only again. Okay, give us a second to figure this out. If that remains a problem, we can always switch to something different. I mean, we're actually, we plan on streaming for half an hour. We're already half an hour in. I'm more than happy to talk a bit more and or answer your questions. Let's see if we can get this resolved. Yeah. Okay, test. Let me know. I know there's 30 seconds of delay, but as soon as I get that confirmation, I will continue with the talk. I'm looking at chat. Yes, awesome voice. Okay, great. Well, sorry for that. I mean, that happens, right? It's not pre-recorded. I mean, that's proof, right? This is none of this is pre-recorded except for the footage of the game. But as I explained, as a result of the things happening right now, again, I would love to hand over the controller and let you play this, but we were forced to pre-record some of this. All of what you see is none of it is edited, and in fact, the final game, what you get when you put it in your console, should look better because all of this is recorded on a test version where some of the graphics options are turned down. But okay, so let's talk about what you see on the screen. So we a few minutes ago we showed you a bit of an introduction clip of the career mode. So what is it all about? Well, what we want to do in Liftoff is not just let you race. I mean, it's not just about actual racing. Drone racing, like someone who practices the hobby of racing, pilot, only 20 or 30% of the time they're actually flying. All the other times they are either interacting with the community. I mean, there's events, having fun with friends, and so that's really important to us. So that's why we have multiplayer, etc. It's about getting your drone together, but it's also, I mean, I think part of what's appealing about the hobby is the whole culture around it and how it has evolved through the years. And so the career mode gives you a bit of a history of drone racing. So you can see it here. We start with season 2015. That's when the hobby started to become a thing. And when I say history, you would say, well, 5 years, that's not long. For drone racing, it's like the Stone Age, right? And so as a player, you get to experience what drones were like in 2015. Each season contains 12 races. Once you finish those, you unlock the next season. So the next one would be 2016, 17, and each time you unlock new hardware, get to experience how these things fly quicker and how things get, just how things get more exciting. And in between, I mean, all of that is being, well, there's a bit of a narrative aspect to it. So as you can see, a phone pops up that adds a bit of a story. So Tom was notifying me there was a question from Taurus again. How many people can be online at the same time in multiplayer? Is there any difference depending on the track? The multiplayer, you can play with 6 people at the same time. Just like in real life. I mean, there's actually in real life with races, there's a bit of a limit of how many people can be in the air at the same time. That has a lot to do with all of the aspects related to signals, etc. So that's also the case in Liftoff. And trust me, on a racetrack, 6 people, it's plenty. And what does that mean in single player? Well, in single player, and that's part of the career mode as well, there's bots, and they behave exactly like real pilots. But of course, it's always cool to know that in multiplayer, that when you win, you actually beat those other players. So it's, but the footage you see here, you see the bots flying. I think, and on the right side, you see the ranking. Yeah, there shouldn't be too much of a difference in the flight experience in single player than in multiplayer. I hope that answers your question. Thank you for that. Awesome question. If there's more, just let me know in chat. But yeah, so this is a career mode. Now we're flying in autumn fields, still with a very old drone. Like I think he's flying a Vortex 250. An old drone from 2015. Another question. Are there different tracks? Yes, so as I explained, there's 5 seasons. In every season, there's 12 tracks, all unique. And so that makes for 60 racetracks in total in the game for the initial release, meaning that we might be able to do more later on, but that should be plenty of content. I mean, it will take you time to get through to all those seasons. Those tracks can be found in 12 different environments. These environments all come with a day and night version. And the nighttime version, it's not just a reskin or just some other light settings. We do some special things with it, like there might be a light show, there might be fireworks. I mean, it gets completely new look and feel. Some of the environments are small, some of them are really big and feel like multi-environments as well. And while we're at it, now on the screen you can actually see the different seasons. You can actually see the 12 tracks for this. All different places, and of course progress is being kept. I see another question. When will it be on PC, says LLL. Again, cool name. Let me know what that means. I'm curious now. It's been on PC since 2015. First in early access, a few years later, fully officially released. I do have to say that it's a constantly evolving project. So to date, since 2015, we've released more than 120 updates. And on Monday, the biggest update yet will be released on Steam. It shows our commitment to our franchise that we supported so long, and we hope to do a similar thing with the console version. So yes, you can already experience this. Of course, what we show now is not is the console version, and as I explained in the beginning, it's not an exact port of the PC version. So a lot of the content and the features will be recognizable, but on console it's completely streamlined to be the ideal console experience. So the menus have a complete new look and feel. There's a new soundtrack. There's a lot of exclusive features such as this career mode in the tutorials. So yeah, very much. I can recommend both, in fact. Well, that sounds like a cheap sales talk, right? But I mean, you can always, if you can't wait for this to come out later this year, you can always give it a try on PC first. Also, please let us know how you feel about it. Liftoff would not be the success without the inputs and suggestions from our community. So all of that is very much appreciated. Another question from the same person. Can we use a controller for PC? I don't have a PlayStation 4 or Xbox. It's too expensive. Yes. So actually, and that's the cool thing, Liftoff on PC, and of course that's not the same on console, because on console you're stuck with the game controllers, but on PC we have a very advanced input system. It allows you to actually fly with real transmitters that pilots use, but you don't have to buy one of these expensive things. You can perfectly use and fly with a game controller as well. It won't be exactly the same experience, but you should be able to fly just fine. In fact, one of our developers has been stubbornly using a PlayStation 4 controls for 4 years, and he's an absolute beast with it. So yeah, great question. Yeah. So great, so that was basically what we wanted to show you today. We got some awesome questions. I mean, there's a lot more to talk about, but we have a few streams more to go this weekend. Later today, and definitely check the the Gamescom schedule when our next stream is, I think in an hour or two. If you still have more questions, feel free to jump in, ask them. If you want to see new things, I can definitely invite you tomorrow on our stream. We're going to talk. Oh, so someone from the team is telling me at 5 p.m. I guess that's Brussels time or the same time zone as Germany, Gamescom. Yeah, 5 p.m. Yeah, definitely join in tomorrow as well. Then we will show more about the customization features. So yeah, I want to thank you all for joining in. This has been, I mean, talking about your passion project, there's nothing cooler than that. Again, I wish I could do that in real life, meet you, shake your hand, see you play, because we learn a lot from that. But considering what's going on, I think this is all fine as well, and I'm happy to be able to show this to you. I want to thank, of course, my colleague next to me who's been helping me set up some of that footage, deal with the technical issue. I also want to thank the people at Astragon, our publisher, who has been really great this past year and a half or almost 2 years in helping us get that Liftoff experience to console. So that's brilliant. Thank you for that. So yeah, that was it for me. Again, we will be on later today and tomorrow, so hope to see you again. Awesome questions, by the way. And just to end, I'll show you something that gives me goosebumps every time I see it. It's our original CG announcement trailer. It's just a cool one. I mean, I just had to end with that. So yeah, so thank you. Bye-bye.